All right, welcome back. It's been a long week. We are doing the next installment of a random and interesting video on the Plow Truck, which is this nice 92 short cab, long bed. Remember, it seats out because we were going to try to run some wires under the seat. Just not going to work out the way we want. So, I think we're going to pull all that forward. And this spot right here, that looks like GM had already intended to be drillable. It's already pilot dimpled and everything. Gonna grab a hole saw, and we're gonna do that. And I will get in here and figure out what grommet we're gonna use, because I did just grab some stuff. So this is the first, last week, and now it's the first time I'm using this big one that goes on top. I've been filling those drawers, but I did grab an assortment of grommets, but that's not the kind I'm looking for. This one. If you guys watch most of our stuff, you've seen these before. So should be able to get everything through those, and then we should be able to back gum them and keep stuff out. Especially since that's a nice high location. I'm not expecting moisture anyway, but once it's all done and we're happy and everything works, then we can come back later and silicone that in and everything. But I think that's the direction we're going to go. So everything is going to come from the back to the front. So what I'm going to do next, I just got here, so I'm just getting set up, trying to get out of the work mindset and get into doing something for us. Obviously we're not going to just crimp in and tie into a wire. That's what, if you recall, our power feed from that relay. We've already confirmed it works. If you're in reverse, that kicks on. We get power there. So I grabbed some random harnesses and some random pins. So I think I'm going to just make a Delphi 56 series Y for the powers there. So we'll get through that, and I think that will make it also so that if he has any problems in the future, it's easier to troubleshoot or change. Because one thing that's nice about those 56 series is they're spade connectors when it comes down to it. So I think that's the way we're going to go. So I'll probably do the male on this end into, well, 2 males. That way you can take one circuit out, leave the other one alone. That's the way we're going to do it. Okay, so here is that end for the extension cords for the backup sensors. That we'll have to go through that. And then if you recall, this wire for those backup lights also will need extended. So let me dig out some more wire for that. Okay, I found some great wire for extending that. I really liked it because it's shielded and protected. But more importantly, now that I've got all these, I know what size I need to go through. That 7/8 will be perfect because we have one. So I just got to move the pilot over. We have a 22 millimeter here, and that'll work perfect. I was just under here because remember we were talking about that spot right there. Now look where it is relative to that group. Come up, about 8 inches or so. Well, when I come under here, it's easy enough to find that group. It's right there. We come up. So see, there's a wire bundle that's leaning there and an entry in the, so see that part is a cutout. So I'm going to put a little piece of wood up there so that the pilot bit doesn't go through that harness. I think we're going to have a great spot to bring those through. So I don't know what GM had going through there, but I bet it was a Speedo cable. And that's that piece of insulation that's behind there. That's the piece that came out. That's the grommet. And wait till you see this. That is that piece of wood I put in there to protect the wire, because I suspected that that's exactly where it would come out. So I'm going to deburr that hole. We'll get a grommet in there and get these wires fed in. That's what the grommet will look like with them all fed through. See, you got to right size it. Won't take much silicone to finish sealing that when we're done. And there's no better time to take care of transmission fluid than now. You see, it doesn't look terrible. So we've started routing the loom back. So you can see I've got her coming out into some convoluted tubing, which I just ran under all of this stuff here. And now I'm going to get it to run down along where somebody added wires in the past. Because at some point we'll pick the truck up and get under. And that's where she comes in. On one of Harlan's Mousers broke in. He thinks he's some kind of shop cat or something. So he's been chasing everything, making wiring really fun. So I'd kind of forgotten about you guys for a bit, but we'll come back. So there is where we're going to put the squeaker so he can get at, turning it off or to high. Something tells me he's going to want to have access to that. And then this is that little box for the radar thing. And right here is where it's going to pick up its power. I left it long on purpose. Here's where it picks up its ground. And of course those come off this orange wire, but I haven't turned that into our distribution hub yet. But that's coming pretty soon. And then we'll worry about the lights. And once we get that in here, crap, we were going to get a bracket for it. So for now, it's probably just going to be hanging there. But we'll get one of these little brackets for a round switch. And keep moving. We'll keep this going. Okay. Almost ready to drop that down and slide the truck forward. I'm trying to decide if I want to put the seat and the brake controller back in, but I might wait on that. You can see all of that's looking pretty good. That'll be completely hidden when that's back in, and still accessible for repairs just by dropping 2 7mm screws. This is just zip tied there for now. So if you're in reverse, those 2 lights will turn on. Yeah, remember we put them back here. But sometimes you might not want those to be on. You say you're in town. So that switch lets you just turn those off. Still got to be in reverse, but that switch will let you just turn them off. This little terror is trying to cause us nothing but trouble in here. So let's get that dropped through and get the truck slid forward. I've already talked myself out of putting the seat in yet. Alright, time to take her up, which is always terrifying on this short cab. So I think I've got her all placed. Okay, before we're completely off the ground here, I just want to check because I'm really not super happy having to pick these up by the shackles. But I want these things as wide as I can get them. Okay, I think those are going to work out for us. Battery's unhooked. Yep, okay. Alright, it has been a few minutes. But we have that routed all the way back. Nice, safe along everything else. Back to this massive junction anyway. And now I've just got to run the actual sensors, and we got to figure out where they're going. So it's getting pretty late, so we'll see. Alright, so I think something like that is what we're talking about. I'm also wondering if we should test it, but I don't know how. I think this door is too close. Because the only thing I'm worried about is, are we out from under that enough? So I guess this is the part where we try it. So let me find out how he wants to attach them. Okay, I just hooked the battery up. Let's find out what does and doesn't work as best we can. I'm going to need my step stool. Alright. We don't have the window all the way down. Okay, so key on. Okay, key still goes on. Let's go to reverse. Yeah, I knew we were gonna get some beeping. We don't know from who yet. Also, let's see if our backup lights worked. Yep, those work. So before we do anything, I'm going to go through and unplug each sensor and see which one's the one that's squeaking. This, of course, is why we test stuff. We have learned a thing. This is the only one plugged in right now. It's beeping. I know you guys can't hear it, but it's beeping. But if I slide it out of that metal tube, now it's not beeping. The closer the tube gets to it, the more it wants to beep. Hear it? You guys maybe don't. So we got to rethink that. Guess we're going plastic. I'm going to close out on a victory. So at least I put that panel back in with my 7mm nut driver here. But to be fair, it all works. We just got to find a different way of doing the sensors. So we're going to rethink that. I'm glad we tested it before we drilled all those holes. That would have been a nightmare. So anyway, I always say, test things. Oh, and I think he ordered a new one of these guys that has its clips. Yeah, it has the other clip. So that'll be nice. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully there's only one more video on this guy. What do you think?
I have 3 videos ago.
This is what, 3? Or is this 4? This is 4. Holy monkeys. Yeah, I probably should have made its own series instead of random and interesting. Anyway, thanks for watching. It's getting pretty late. Just an addendum here. I think just digging around, we found a solution. Just got to hog those out a little bit. Take these old airline clips like that. And we'll just trim those ears off. Pop those on the bumper. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been another ShopRex approved video.